So, why do I say that? Well, I think some of us have snakes in our houses. But here's the sad thing. That snake wasn't invited into my house. But there are some people that invite snakes into their house. And that's pretty sad. You're scared of the snake, but you invite the snake. You rebuke the snake, but you embrace the snake. I don't know about you, but to me, that's the definition of crazy. Something I don't want, I won't let go of. Now, I know I'm talking to somebody else, but you can take notes for them. Take notes for them so that you can share with them later what you learned that they needed to know. Okay? But here's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about simple, solid truths to have very strong marriages. I just want to give you some simple truths about how to have strong and solid marriages. Around the world today, marriages are under attack like never before. Snakes are coming into people's homes at a tremendous rate. Of course, now I'm speaking of spiritual snakes, probably physical as well, but spiritual snakes are sneaking their ways into your kitchen, to your bedroom, to your kids' room, to your living room, to your entertainment room. And there's just snakes all over the house. And it doesn't matter what you do, you're just continually biting each other. And the things which you permit, you turn into. I might as well just stop there because I don't think we're going anywhere right now. See, you think you're snapping at your wife? You think you're sassy back-talking your husband? No, you're not. You're snaking. You're being a snake. All you're doing is revealing who you are. Oh, I need to say this. My name is Andrew, and I am your friend. I'm going to tell you this because only a friend will tell you the truth. An enemy will put a smile on his face and lie to you and tell you he's a friend. But a true friend will tell you what you need. Know what you want, not what you want. So let's just establish this friendship right now. Okay? So there's two books that Pastor Whitman mentioned out there on the table. One of them, I wrote it for men, but more women buy it than men do. Because when the man improves, the wife is more happy. And when the wife is more happy, life goes better. So that's why more women buy my book. And here's what I tell women to do. If you get this book, I only have one book in English. I've got 59 in Spanish, but I've only got one I've got a couple in French, but I got one in English. It's called True Manhood. Turning males to men. See, you're born male, but you're discipled into being a man. And it just takes time. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. My wife also has a book up there. It's called Fall on the Rock. And a lot of men buy that one because they read it for their wives. Because there's one thing we know about marriage, that if the man is frustrated, he's usually caused the frustration. But he can solve the frustration that he caused in his wife by treating her better. So he reads that book to know how to treat better his wife so that he's not so frustrated. And she reads the book on men's and she can highlight particular points that he wants to read because she knows he's not going to read the whole book. So my wife and I speak a lot A lot. To marriages, leadership marriages, pastoral, business leaders, business executive, their marriages is the most important thing for us, because everything spawns off from there. Because we can only reproduce who we are. And if we look at the condition of the North American family, we know how marriages are. Society is not a reflection of our political or racial values. Society is a reflection of our homes. So whether you like it, agree with it, or not, every society is the revelation, the physical revelation of the hidden secrets under your roof. So your children will only become who you really are, know what you say you are. What's my name? And who am I? That's right. So we're not going to figure it out, are we? Let me give you a simple truth. This is not one of the 7. Let me just give you a simple truth. God is committed to your marriage. That's just a very simple truth. That's not one of them. I just want to say that. Put that as a foundation. God is committed to your marriage. But it seems to me that God is more committed to us than we are to Him. We seem to be more committed to us than we are to Him. And see, here's what happens. We fight each other instead of fight for each other. So, I'm just going to say this. When you fight with your spouse, all you do is manifest the work of darkness in your home. You invite a snake into your marriage. Now, every snake bite is going to have some venom in it. Every poisonous snake. Every snake bite that's a venomous snake will have some type of poison. Sometimes that poison can lay dormant for many years. Sometimes you can go decades and you can put on the plastic face and you can cover it up with makeup and you can put flowers and chocolates and dinners on it to try to put it away so that it won't manifest, or you can, grab your spouse's leg so that they don't say the truth when you're out with somebody else. I don't know why you're laughing. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, that venom will one day come back and affect you and those that are closest to you. Now, here's the sad truth about marriage. The Christian home is as poorly put together as the non-Christian home. Just because someone is born again, there's not a magical system that automatically just makes them better just because they became born again. Okay? You can become a new creation, but with old creature habits. You can become born again in the spirit, but the same old nasty witch in the flesh. So the spirit will not transform your mind or your habitual actions. It will only cause a conviction to come in that you should change. Now, you know the last time that you snaked your spouse, as soon as you bit him or bit her, you knew that you shouldn't have done it, but you did it anyways. Why? Was it your new nature striking out, or was it your old nature striking out? It was your old nature, and you knew that you shouldn't have done it, but that habit has such a control on you that you don't resist that which you know you shouldn't do, and eventually, God will not be mocked, my friend. Whatever you sow, you will reap. It could be a day, it could be a decade. But one day, you're going to have to pay the price. So, if you don't like where you are, take inventory of who you are. The great thing about ministering to couples, even to singles, preparing them for couplehood, is listening to them talk about their mate or their future mate. And as soon as you hear someone biting their mate, you just found out where the problem is. Because the more you bite like a snake, the more snakish you're going to be in your home. Happy 26-year anniversary. Maybe I should have came last week or next week. You and your wife are blessed of the Lord. Act like it. You have 100% of the Lord's affection, attention, and affirmation. The entire Bible is written around one thing: the marriage supper of the Lamb. From the very beginning of time in Genesis 3, when God pronounces the ultimate prophetic event of the wife, the church, crushing the head of Satan, everything from that point to eternity is based around Jesus preparing his bride for that wedding day, for that wedding process. So God knows that he's taking you on a process. So why do you make your process painful? Why do you make it more difficult than it needs to be? Your spouse is not your problem. You are. I like to say it this way. It works a lot better in Spanish than it does in English. Pero cuando nos casamos, llegamos a ser una sola carne, pero trabajamos de ser dos carnes solas. Right? Right? Right, Sarah? Sí. We get married and we become one flesh. We don't become one individual. We become one flesh because of the unity that we are in the Lord. We become two individuals still, but we're one in where we're going in life. So marriage is about becoming one flesh. So why do we work so hard to remain two flesh? Why do we work so hard to maintain my individual status and live my life as I want to? That's what snakes do. Snakes stick to themselves. You ever seen a snake herder? Like a sheep herder? Got like 50 snakes together and he's rounding them up, taking them to the slaughterhouse? No. You see one snake, then you see another snake, then you see another snake. Because when two snakes come together, what do? Am I in your home now? When two snakes come together, they bite each other. Whole lot of biting going on. Genesis 1, 27, 28. Let me give you three things real quick before we move on to the 7 things. 3 things that we need to know about our marriage. Because we have to define what marriage really, the purpose really is. Genesis 1, 27, 28 says, God created man in his own image, and the image of God he created male and female. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the sky, and every living creature that crawls on the earth. So 3 things we need to learn from these 2 verses about marriage. Number 1, God created you to be together, not to be separate. So any time in your marriage that there is a thought of not being together, that's not of God. That's a snake in my boot. There's a snake in my home. And then we have to ask, is it me? Because you will eventually become what you think upon and what you allow in your house. And if all you ever think about is, well, if he would just change, See, here's what happens. Marriage is the reality that God brought into being to reveal the true nature of who we are. So the reason he wanted man and woman to get married is so they could see each other for who they really are. How many of y'all used to be single? You used to be single. Before you got married, you used to be single. That should be everybody. If you, we used to be single. Okay, so you really didn't live your life. How can I please this person? You lived your life how? How can I please me? Snake. What can I get for me? How come I don't feel connected? How come she doesn't? How come he doesn't? Snake. That's dangerous. Because you're eventually going to become what you think upon and what you allow in your home. God's not going to be mocked. You could probably have a marriage for 40, 50 years, and from all external purposes, you could probably say, well, we're still married. Really? Maybe you're still in the same house, but I don't think you're living married. You're maybe putting up with one another, but you're not growing up with one another. See, marriage is designed so that we can reflect the perfection of God's plan in our homes. So that when people look at our marriage, they would say, wow, that's what I need. How do you get your kids to? How is it that you guys are always, what can I do to become like? So the next time you have a marriage event at church, let's see how many unsaved people show up. Most unsaved people I know, they're like, the church? I don't need any more problems. And they got more problems than I do. Why am I going to go there? If you're going to be salt and light, you're going to have to learn to live it in your home. Because who you are in your home is who you will be in the street. Because the society is only a reflection of the home. So the second thing that you learn about marriage in those verses in Genesis 1, it says, God blessed you to be fruitful and to multiply. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of children. But you know, we find in many places in the U.S., I don't want no kids. I don't want no kids. Why? Snake. What about me? I don't want to follow God's plan. I want to live my life. No, this world is too cruel for children. How am I going to invest my life into someone else? And I can't even get myself together. I had to minister to my son about a month ago in South Dakota. We do, once a year, he and I do like a week away somewhere. Just he and I. And it's father-son discipleship week. And I let him know, yes, I'm your father, but this week I'm your friend. So I'm going to talk to you as a friend and not as a father. Because as a father, I I'm going to correct you, but as a friend, I'm going to tell you the truth. He made a statement to me a couple of months ago. He goes, Dad, I don't know if I want to have kids. I was like, what? I was like, whose house did you grow up in? Because that is definitely not a Bucksot thinking. Where in the world? Well, I mean, I was talking with these guys at my church. And one of them, divorced, 60-year-old man, says, well, Jonathan, I mean, if you don't want to have kids, I mean, it's tough, I'm telling you. Whew, having a wife, being responsible, discipling kids, whew, that's a tough job, Jonathan. Then another guy who's about his age, whoa, hey, Jonathan, if you don't want to have kids, I mean, I understand that, because what my dad went through with me, I wouldn't want to go through with my kid. Whew, I said, what? I said, who in hell are you listening to? And I'm talking about who in hell are you listening to? No, who in hell are you listening to? I consider any respectful man of God that has God in his home will look at you straight in the eye if you tell him, I don't know if I'm going to have kids, and say, you are stupid. God created you to multiply. The reason why you're here is because I obeyed it. And I enjoyed it. And you're going to enjoy it. In the name of Jesus. Well, like we say in Spanish, le cayó el 20. The revelation light came on. And he goes, wow. He goes, I've never seen that. I said, listen, Jonathan, let me tell you something. You're only stupid when you walk around with stupid people. My wife's grandmother used to say, child, a fool gets a fool's reward. So if you're getting a fool's reward, here's my question. Who's the fool? And stop passing the buck and say, well, if she, well, if he. No, well, if I. Point the finger where the finger needs to go. Turn it back on ourselves. The third thing we learn from there is God instructed us to reproduce his life into our kids' lives. To go and subdue and have authority. Basically, he's saying, go and make disciples. The same thing that I've put into you, put into them. Why? Because I want you to reproduce my image in you, now in them. So I want you to prolong the generational blessing of family in every generation. We should be, every generation, having stronger families and more on fire kids for the Lord than ever before. But what's happening? Too many snakes in the homes. And big snakes create little snakes. Oh, Dr. Andrew, the youth today. What? The youth today? Oh, the parents. Because those youth came from somebody. That apparently was nobody. That turned them into nothing. See, God's not going to be mocked. We can paint it, politicize it, racialize it, financialize it. We can do all these smoke and mirrors and try to do what we want to make sure that we have this self-satisfaction of self-justification. The Lord's like, go and play your game. Because at the end of the day, I've got the ultimate word. And Jesus doesn't need 1,000,000 families, and he doesn't need 100 families. Just ask Gideon.
That's good.
You got too many. Keep going lower. Let me get that remnant. Where's that remnant? Got a lot of people sitting in the pews, but you don't have a lot of people smelling like the fragrance of Christ. Why do you think they call them pews? Because stinking thinking comes from snakish behavior. And if you act like a snake, and if you walk like a snake, and if you talk like a snake, and if you eat like a snake, and if you slither like a snake, guess what you are, saint of God? You're a snake. Snakes act snakish. Saints act sanctified. It'd be awesome, really, in my personal opinion, it would be awesome if coming to church on Sunday was the only thing we needed. Don't you think that's why many people come to church? But I went to church, so maybe my wife will act better. Or the wife's like, well, I finally got him to come to church. He's sitting in the pew. Maybe he's going to change now because he went to church. I'll tell you one place that snakes don't like to be is where the truth is being revealed about who they are. Snakes get uncomfortable around snake killers. And they look how they can slither away unnoticed. I got something to do. It's not hard to identify who a snake is. Because the snake's eventually going to show their teeth. Eventually. Most of the time, I'm not saying about anybody here, this is for your friends that live around you. Right? Because you know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to all those people you know. Right? Okay. Most people can put on some great makeup on Sunday morning. And I'm not talking about just physical makeup. You can use a mask or whatever analogy you want to use. We can really put it on Sunday, can't we? Or can't these people that you're going to talk to, can't they really put it on Sunday? But boy, you get them outside the church, that mask comes off in a hurry. You see, all of a sudden now, Andrew, the white man, see, snakes, let's make it about race. Let's make it about finances. Let's make it about something that is not real. So what? So I can feel, well, he wasn't talking to me because he's white. Wow. And he can't talk to me about my baby because he's a male. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, no. He can't talk to me because he's Republican or Democrat. Oh, no, they can't talk to me like that. Snake. Oh, no, she didn't. Saint or snake? So the next time you're about to open your mouth, just think, saint or snake? Venom or victory? Which one of the two? Am I going to bite him or I'm going to ride him? What's it going to be? Okay, so now that we know what the design of God is for couples, How do we live victoriously in this world that we're living in? Okay, you can raise your hand if you want to. How many believe that this world has some major, major problems? Yeah. Okay. So we're just about all in agreement, because there's some people that are not going to raise their hand no matter what, unless I say, can I give you $1 million? Yeah. Give me $1 million. I'll raise my hand for that. But most of us are in accord that there are some problems in society. Well, let's look at some simple truths about how we can live victoriously. But let me tell you something. I'm going to share something with you out of 1 Peter. And as we talk to these, or speak about these verses in 1 Peter, I want to say something. These verses that I'm using don't speak directly to what marriage is or what marriage is about. But I need to tell you something about what truth is. Okay? Where there is truth, we learn about life. So truth, all truth, is parallel. Any truth in the Bible is parallel, meaning it will apply itself in any area of life where it needs to be applied. Because it's truth. Truth can change your life. Truth can change your marriage. Truth can change your finance. I don't have to give you a financial verse to change your finances. I need to give you truth to change your finances. I don't have to give you a mind verse, Romans 12:2, to talk to you about transforming your mind. I need to give you a truth to change your mind or your mindset. Does that make sense? Or does that make sense? I try to say it as simple as I could. So all truth is parallel. You can apply truth to any area of your life, because truth, just like faith, never makes sense, but it always is right. Truth and faith are very similar in that it's going to make a difference, but it's not going to make sense. So if you can get that down about truth, you can understand that truth is not a respecter of your present situation or your current condition. Truth doesn't care about what you're going through. Truth cares about who you are. And truth will try to get you to the reality of who you are to be, not who you was being, was. I'm not trying to be grammatically correct. I'm trying to do future past. So truth will always point you into the direction of victory. And let me tell you something. People who live defeated their whole lives, victory is not sweet. Victory is painful. I'm not going to say his name, but the quarterback for the Chiefs, ask him about the pain of winning a Super Bowl when his body should not have won the Super Bowl. Why? Because victory always hurts. There is no victory without sacrifice. And sacrifice hurts. If you want to write it down this way, here's a good way to say it. Those who want to live an easy life are going to have a hard life. See, I want that miracle diet where I can take off 30 pounds in 30 minutes, although it took me 20 years to put it on. Now, if I had a capsule that would guarantee you losing 30 pounds in 30 minutes, how many would buy it? Why? Because I don't like sacrifice. Make it easy. God, why don't you just make it easy? Because you won't seek me if it was easy.
That's right. Right?
You wouldn't urgently come after me if you paid no price for victory.
That part.
I hope this person that you're going to give your notes to really appreciates what you're going to give them. Truth, when applied, will change every single natural circumstance and put it under the authority of the truth of the supernatural manifestation of God's perfect will.
Yeah.
That's what truth will do. So, anytime you come in contact with a truth giver, two reactions are going to happen: snake or saint. Anytime you come in contact with a truth giver, one thing should happen for the saints of God. We should have a saintly reaction, and our eyes should light up, and our spirit should be alert. Our hands should reach out, and our minds would be, I need that. But the snake will curl up, draw back, and wait for their moment. And as soon as they sit at the table at the Golden Corral, did you hear what that white man said? Because the only thing a snake can see is what's going on physically. Have you ever heard the phrase snake blind? Snakes are worse off than bats. If snakes didn't have sensors, they can't see. Snake blind. Get a little bit of light, they're like, I don't know, I'm just going to bite them. I don't know what it is, I don't care what it is, I'm just going to bite it. Something moved, I'm going to bite it and eat it. I'm not talking about your marriage, I'm just talking about somebody moved on. Mom, you got breakfast ready? Make your own breakfast. Again, for somebody else. All right, let's go to 1 Peter. 1 Peter 5, 6 through 10. Really, I'm toning it down today because I really want to be your friend. I'm really controlling myself. I really am. I really am. 1 Peter 5, we're going to read 6 through 10. And there's 7 things here I want to mention to you about what we can do to have great marriages or solid marriages. And these are things that saints can apply, but these are 7 things that snakes will reject. Because the saintly activity and the snakely activity, they're totally different in the way they respond to truth. So here's the 7 things. Let's go over them real quick. Therefore, I'll just number them off with my finger. Humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, that He may exalt you in your proper time. Meaning that's a process. It's not going to happen automatically. Just because I humbled myself this morning doesn't mean that my spouse is going to be better by noon. But Lord, I humbled myself. He goes, yeah, 1 out of 10 million. Let's go for 2 and see what happens. That He may exalt you in your proper time. Number 2, casting all your anxiety on Him, because He cares for you. Number 3, be sober in spirit. Number 4, be alert, because your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. But, number 5, resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same experiences of suffering are being accomplished by your brethren in all parts of the world. After you have suffered, does anybody wake up this morning and like, I really hope I suffered today?
No.
I'm going to tell you something. I was a professional athlete. I went to college on a full scholarship. And from day one, when I signed that scholarship, I almost went to Brevard, North Carolina. I didn't go there, but ended up going down in Georgia to the university. But day one, from when I signed that scholarship, that man who recruited me, that man that put on all the smiles and introduced me to all the cheerleaders. Snake. He painted it up nice, didn't he? Oh, and all these cheerleaders, they like you. And as an 18-year-old, I believed him. That's what my mom said. I'm very likable. So I'm like, well, my mom thinks I am, then all the girls think I am too. So he painted it up real well. Showed me what dorms were, the meal cards, you get to eat anything you want for free. Here's the practice schedule, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as I said, that sounds pretty good. I signed that contract. Ooh. I don't know what Satan looks like, but I now know how he acts. That man changed in the blink of an eye. He grabbed that paper and he said, now you're mine for 4 years. Anything and everything I say you will do or you're gone. Would it be unjust of Jesus that if we said, oh Lord Jesus, be the Lord of my life, and he looks at you and says, good, now you're mine. Everything I say, you will do, or you're gone. Would that be unjust of him? No, because he knows what's good for us.
Yes.
He knows what we need, not what we want, what we need. And there was stuff that man drew out of me. I had no idea the talent I had. I'm going to tell you something. As soon as I got married, those rings got on the finger, and I kissed those pretty pink, full lips of my wife for the first time, I had no idea the man that I was until I began to live the married life with her, and she would draw out stuff in me that I had no idea was in there. Because she wasn't committed to her. She's committed to me. Because my wife's not the same. My wife's a saint. And she's not living her life so that she gets what she wants. Because she knows one thing. The better he is, the better we are. Anybody listening to me? Yeah. Is this a Baptist church? Is that okay? Somebody can say amen? Amen. Okay. If you don't say amen, just say, oh, me. Just don't go. I'm really trying to be nice today. I really am. I'm really working hard on it. The apostolic sometimes is not easy. It's not easy. Colossians chapter 1. Colossians chapter 1. I'll read the last 2 verses of that chapter to you. Nothing to what we're talking about today, but I think pertinent for where we need to go. Colossians chapter 1, verses 28 and 29. I'll read it to you in English. Would you prefer that? Change it from Spanish to English. Okay, so Paul says to the church in I don't know how to say it in English, Colossians. He says, verse 28 and 29, he says, we proclaim him. Okay, see, there's the number one problem that Paul had. All he did was talk about Jesus. See, that's why he was always in trouble. Because the apostolic always talks about Jesus. And people don't like that. Snakes don't like Jesus. No, because snakes know this. He's the one that I'm going to have problems with. See, those people that go to church on Sunday, I got them in the bag. That's easy. But this Jesus guy, that's going to cost me something. Yeah, he's going to hang on a cross for a little bit. But he's going to raise from the dead. And he's going to crush my head. So So why don't I just go after his people and see what I can do to stall the plan? Paul says, here's one thing I do. He says, we proclaim him. And here's the thing right here. I'm admonishing every man. This is an apostolic call. Admonishing every man. Now, for most of you who just understand English, admonish is a phenomenal word. It's a nice word. It's a pretty word. But the reality of the word is amonestar. From the Latin and Greek base of warning. Warning. Let me tell you that the road that you're on is going to lead to your eventual premature death if you don't get the snakes out of your home. Oh, by the way, I'm Paul the Apostle and I'm your friend. Paul didn't have a lot of friends. Because the apostolic doesn't go around trying to win friends. He goes around trying to win souls. He goes around trying to win homes for the Lord. Because if he can get the parents, he can get the kids. And if he can get the kids, he's got the whole entire next generation. So if you paint it up like a pastoral, let me pat you on the back and make it all nice and fluffy so that you'll come back and not just give a tithe, but you'll give an offering so we can pay the bill and I can get a Mercedes. If you paint it apostolically, you're not going to have a lot of friends. But people don't want to be admonished. Why do you think that Tony Robbins is so popular? You know who that is? Motivational guru? Yeah, you've heard of him? Yeah. You know why the guy's a millionaire? Because nobody wants to be confronted. They just want to be comforted. Don't tell me the truth. Just tell me something. Tell me something. Heathens know that song. I know it. So we proclaim him, admonishing every man. So no matter where he went, warning, warning, warning. What's wrong with you? How come you always see the warning? Because a blind man doesn't know where he's going unless someone tells him. Paul says we have to show the way to righteousness and life. It's not going to come easy. There's always a sacrifice for victory. And he says this, and he says, teaching every man with all wisdom, not just physical wisdom, but psychological wisdom and spiritual wisdom, all types of wisdom, so that we may present every man complete or mature in Christ. Verse 29 says, for this very purpose also I labor. Paul, in his 4 missionary journeys over 3 continents, without internet, without airplanes, without money, without a change of clothes, would go about admonishing people, teaching people, and speaking to them about the Lord for one purpose alone. And he said, for this very reason I labor. And why do I do it? Because there's a power in me that keeps propelling me forward. Because there's always one person somewhere that says, I'll take it. I'll get it. I want it. So if God was out for numbers, God would teach us like Tony Robbins. He's not after your comfort. He's after your conversion. He's not after your mind. He wants the heart of who you are. And that's only going to happen by pruning those things that are snake-bitten, full of venom, causing pain.